Josh, there was some conversation that Brian Flores might get head coaching jobs. Obviously, he's back here. What does it mean to be able to bring the defense back, not have to learn a new defense, and then build on what you did last year?
I think it's really good for the team. Selfishly, really good for me as well. I haven't had the same DC 2 years in a row since my first 2 years with Zim. So to have that, that comfortability with a guy and, be able to learn and build off the stuff we've done in the past is really nice. Because when we talk about things from last year, it's, with each other and not, with another group. So it's good to have that comfortability. The word, it's, yeah. Thank you. And it's just good to have him.
Just watching the free agency moves and Daniil leaving and Kirk leaving, just what do you think about all the transition and change on the roster?
Yeah, I mean, it happens every year, man. And, every year you just appreciate the time you get to spend with guys. I know when I first got here, especially, Daniil, Daniil, EK, Barr, Tutu, like those were the guys. Those were the foundation of what the Vikings were, the years leading up to when I was coming into the league, and I always wanted to picture myself and see myself playing with those guys. So, to get a chance to play on the field, 1,000 snaps with Daniil, 1,000 snaps with Tutu, however many snaps I had with Barr, and the couple games that I started last year, I played with EK. Being able to have that for me, meant a lot, because these guys I leaned on my first couple of years, just, everything. Like, what is them talking about when he says this? What do you mean when you tell me that I'm not doing this? Kind of thing. They took me under their wing, and, now our relationships, go farther than just, being on the team together. Been talking to EK consistently since he's gone. Was talking to AB before he left, when he came back, still to this day. So, you just build everlasting relationship with guys, who built a lot of the foundation, you live on daily lives like myself.
Football tends to be so structured. I mean, if you're a safety,
Say it again.
football tends to be so structured
Yeah.
over time. If you're a safety, you got to do safety stuff. If you're a linebacker, do linebacker. Like, how refreshing or how mind expanding was it for you to be able to do all those things?
Did
you kind of envision that you could ever be that type of player?
Yeah, I always knew I was just a football player. I played my first ever year playing football. I was a DN and a tight end, and the next year I was a running back and a nose guard. And so, I just, every year, I took on a new, different role, just because, I could pick it up and I was good at it. And I knew once I got into this league, if I wanted to play, I would have to figure out, a couple other things. But yeah, it is refreshing to be able to do a lot of different things. I call myself a football player. I'm not just a safety or a DB. I just love playing football, and I think I'm just good at playing football. So that's where that comes in. So yeah, it's nice to not have to do the same thing. But safety is something. I got to the league, playing safety. So it is nice when I do get the reps at that too. But yeah, it's good to just be all over the place.
Reaction learning that Harry was coming back?
I was probably one of the happiest guys. I told him after the season I could see him playing 3 more years. Trying to convince him, yeah, come back. The times I have with him are some of the times I look back and say this really helped further my career or helped me get to this point. And anything I can get from him is just going to be beneficial. I think any guy who comes in here, especially in the defensive back room, especially just on defense, if you get a chance to be around him, he's what I think, a vet should be like and how a guy should go about his business when you've been in the league as long as he has.
How did he tell, he's a quiet guy, did he, call you?
Yeah, I text him, all the time. So, we're just texting. I seen him at a wedding. And he's just he's the type of guy he makes his decision on a whim of just a wake up all right, today's the day. So he said he was like he just got that feeling he could do it. It's just a matter of what the situation was, and when he talked to everybody and found out he let the guys know. So it's just one of those things where he's just being Tutu. When you see him, you get everything else. You get the details, but he just very low key guy. Goes about his business, and that's how he should be. I was waiting to find out like everybody on Twitter. Because that's just how he is.
You talked about when you were the guy that wanted to be with Anthony Barr and Harrison and everyone, and now you're that guy that some of the younger guys look up to. Does that fuel you more? How does that figure into your mindset now?
Yeah, I look at my fifth year going into my fifth year. I've been the bottom guy, and now I'm trying to transition to one of those top guys. And it does fool you a little bit because you have the younger guys who come to you instead of going straight to 2-2. They coming to me and I'm like, oh, why won't you just ask him? And I'm like, I guess I'm that guy too now. So it's it does fuel you, but then you still have things you want to reach for. So I'm still reaching to be like him, even though I got those guys trying to get to where I'm at. And it's just a process, a pyramid that's just gonna keep going on. Just the circle of football, and that's what I'm invested in, and that's what I love about it.
What do you know about Shaquille Griffin, and what is he going to add here?
Yeah, I know he's a really good football player, which is why we brought him in here. I know he's going to be a good addition to the room, bring that extra presence, that has played a lot of football in this league, veteran presence in that room, where we have a lot of young guys. And I think, the competition level when he came in just, raised just that much higher. The bar is always set high, to have a guy who's played good football, who's really good at, man matching, which corners should be, it helps a lot.
Having seen Lou's plan play out the way it did for you last year and several teammates, Harrison Phillips just talked about that as well. How excited are you to see what he has in store for some of the newer pieces that have been added?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I know he does a real good job just using guys to the best of their ability. And the things we did last year was just because the group we had, that's what we excelled at. And, we have a different group this year, a bunch of different guys, a lot of guys who can do a lot of different things. And, it's just going to be real fun to see, what we can come up with, and what we can do, to cause chaos within an offensive mind.
Did you ever sit down with him and he's like, you're gonna be at all these, when did you, or how did you find out? And what did you think of, I'm literally doing all this?
Yeah, so I always tell this story. When he first got the job, I was out here already, and within that same week, I knew he would be in the facility at some point. So I was like, I'm gonna just go up and introduce myself. If you ever been in his office, he has just a list of everything he thinks just thrown onto his wall. Everything that he ever thought of what the defense could be, he just throws onto the wall, what he thinks guys can do here. And when I first came in, he sat me down and said, yeah, I watched a couple of your tape, your film. I've seen you on the tape. I think you can do this, and a little bit of this, But in my eyes, it was just one here, one here. Let me pick one, because the year before I only had a package where I was getting called on third down. So, in my head, I was thinking the same thing where, I have to pick one and just master that. And then as you get good going, you start to do a couple things, and we start to realize. And now we get to a point where it's the beginning of the season, going into week one, and I'm like, oh, these are all different things. So, yeah, it was pretty, it took me a while to realize how much we were going to be doing. But once I did, he knew I was ready for it. He wouldn't have done it if he didn't know I could do it. But this year, I made sure to make it a point that I go into his office early, like let me know now, So I know what I'm doing. So yeah, when I got back from California, me and my wife and the baby spent some time in California. When I got back, seeing Flo, I was like, yeah, I went in his office to see the board, see my name. I was like, now I know what this entails. He knows. We had a better understanding now of what we're gonna do this season.
Different stuff, or was it
Say it again.
different stuff?
You got to find that out Sunday. Come on now. I can't tell you that. It's only April. Draft ain't even happened yet.
Is that board intimidating, kind of like a beautiful mind?
It's intimidating because I'm a guy. I need to focus on one thing. Seeing all of it was like, whoa. I need to see one after another. It's intimidating for me. But for a guy like him, this is how he thinks, and it's just cool to see what he how a guy like him who's very smart at the game sees things and takes things, and whatever I can learn from him, I try to do. But he's a great coach, and I'm excited to see the stuff we do this year.
Did you know you could do all the things that he thought you could do?
You as a player, as a competitor, you think you could do everything. I think I could go play quarterback if we need me to. I just I've done little things like the nickel. I played that a little bit. my second year, I finished this game starting at nickel because we had a bunch of guys get hurt, COVID. Then the dime, that was the position I was playing before he got to see tape that. Then I played safety naturally, so that's already 3 you knock off. Then, you start to try things in OTAs in this time, in the box. I'm just naturally, that's where I naturally started off playing ball. So things just pick up a lot faster. Especially a guy like me, I like to learn things in a whole. So I learned the whole defense instead of just my spot. So, you start to just pick up on things. And, just playing ball, the reps mattered a lot. Tutu, last year, he wasn't here as much at the beginning of the OTA, so I had a lot of reps at safety, and just in general, it was me, Beezy, and Lou taking a lot of the reps, and I got to move around a lot then, and that really kind of helped. See the progress, so that when he did come back, all right, you can fit in here because you did this, you can fit in there because you did that. So yeah, it's a process.
Were you a good nose guard as a kid?
Yeah, I was quick off the ball until the weight, because obviously everybody had to be at a certain. In Florida, we didn't do ages, we did weight. So I was 90 pounds. That's the max you can be. I was 89 and a half, and I had a faster step off the ball than everybody. So as soon as he twitched his hand, I'm tackling the quarterback before he can hand the ball off. So that was my thing, and I was doing that, and I was that's where I kind of got my love for just the D line and the trenches, even though I'm not big enough to even be in there. But that's where I got my love for that.
Josh, how would it expand Flo's creative mind if he was able to play more man coverage?
Yeah, I mean, you just look back to his years in Miami. They ran a lot of man coverage. The things they were able to do. It all just depends on the guys you have and the things you can make look like you're doing something. That's just a big part of playing defense. You got to be able to disguise certain things. Every team plays man. We played man last year. It's just a matter of do teams know you're playing man? When can you mix it in, or can you complement it with something else well? So it's just a matter of getting reps, feeling comfortable. That wasn't something we majored in a lot in the offseason. So that's why it wasn't on the tape as much as it was. So if that's something that he wants to do, we'll probably start doing it a lot more in the offseason. But it's just a matter of whatever fits best for the group you have. I think once he sees all of us in a whole, he'll start to see what we can do, and that's when you'll see if we're a man coverage team, or we're a cover 2 team, cover 3 team. It's all about knowing your players.